What's up, folks? It's the Angry Rabbit again. Part 2. Joseph Erin Hamley, Arkansas, officer involved shooting. Where we left off was where, very mysteriously, as I thought, the two dash cams had different dates. And at the time now, they're telling this person uh, who had cerebral palsy to get down on the ground, and he did, but laid down on his back instead of his abdomen. Now, we do know of two cases where somebody has laid down on their abdomen instead of their back and gotten, well, I'm sure there's way more cases too. The knee of the neck, and, as in Tony Timpa, George Floyd, right? Probably more too. So, we know that it doesn't always work out for the best when you do that either. The Benton County Special Grand Jury found that possibly in an effort to comply with the troopers' instructions to roll over, when Larry Norman directed Joseph Erin Hamley to turn over, Hamley reached across his body. That he probably needed to. I mean, he had cerebral palsy, Hamley, I'm sorry, that's when Norman shot one time. Now, this is so weird. That's Frank Norman. That's the officer who did, who shot. The slug hitting the pavement, then striking Hamley's arm and going into his body. Isn't that odd? Is that like normal? I guess. I don't know. When officers approached him, Hamley moaned, saying, "I'm sorry." He then asked, "Why did you shoot me?" That's so sad. The grand jury noted that Trooper Norman was on the scene for less than 1 minute when he shot Hamley, and that he made no attempt to communicate with State Trooper Wilson Short or the Washington County Sheriff deputies that had the situation under control. We will note that we are extremely troubled by the lack of communication between the officers from the Arkansas State Police themselves and, too, with the Washington County Sheriff deputies, who were on a scrambled radio frequency. The grand jury concluded, as a result of their lack of communication, there was no coordinated plan of action between them. We will also do something about it, that we are disturbed by the fact that there was no attempt to positively identify the subject prior to the shooting. Wow. The grand jury said they were concerned that the officers' microphones were either turned off or non existent, preventing recordings to be made of their conversations during and after the incident. Several toy balls that were taken from Hamley's pockets after he was fatally shot were also viewed by the grand jury. I wonder if those were like something like how, like to calm him, maybe, probably. Wow, unreal. What a travesty of justice. And if you notice in these dash cam photos, they each have a different date. One has the 6th and one has the 7th from two different officers' cars. Is that possible? On April 13th, 2006, Norman was indicted by the grand jury on a charge of negligent homicide, and he was sentenced on June 26, 2007. He pled guilty, by the way, and he was sentenced to 90 days in jail, 30 days of community service, 1 year out probation, and a $1,000 fine. He served 54 days of his jail sentence. The Arkansas State Police settled a lawsuit on March 5th, 2007 with the victim's family for $1 million. Now, if I'm correct, I do believe it comes actually from the city or the state. Norman was later granted, now get this, a full early medical retirement from the Arkansas State Police at the age of 40. Wow. In May 2006, Arkansas State Police Sergeant and investigator into the fatal shooting of Joseph Erin Hamley, Steve Coppinger, stated that he saw no problem with sending an email to fellow troopers asking for donations for the legal defense fund of the trooper, Larry Norman, after he was appointed lead investigator in the case. Sergeant Coppinger told the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, "I don't see a conflict at all." Sure he didn't. Later that month, the department spokesperson with the Arkansas State Police said, "Coppinger is now being investigated to determine whether he violated department police by sending the email on his police computer and workplace email account." The probate case files concerning the terms of the Arkansas State Police settlement with the Joseph Erin Hamley estate, which are normally open to the public, were sealed. Very interesting. Just for a little more into it, so he told the court that he pled guilty to a misdemeanor count of negligent homicide to ease the pain of the victim's family. Norman, whose shotgun blast killed 21-year-old Joseph Erin Hamley, said, "I made a mistake. I've always tried to take responsibility for my mistakes, and I've taught my kids to do the same thing." Since the shooting, Norman said he avoids social contact and doesn't talk with his friends from the state police. But life goes on. Not for Joseph, though. "I take it day to day," Norman said. "I still have responsibility to my family." Everett asked Norman if he will ever forget the shooting. Well, why would he? You know what I'm saying? "No, sir," Norman said. Joseph's mother said her son, who suffered from cerebral palsy and a mental condition, knew he was disabled, but he was determined to be like his grandfather, who suffered from similar afflictions but was able to have children. He knew that God would give him the right woman with which to raise a family, said Mary Hamley. She said her son's father suffered from a mental illness and was a mean man. "God and I worked hard for them," Hamley and his 5 siblings, "not to go down the same road as their father," she said. So apparently, he had gone for a walk, his daily walk, and didn't return that night, and his mother had reported him missing. And as the day progressed, after he had been shot, police officials realized that the man Norman shot was Joseph Erin Hamley, not Adam Lee Ledford. Shortly after he was shot, Hamley had told police that his name was Aaron, not Adam. How sad is that? Ledford had actually been shot and apprehended later that day at the Walmart Supercenter in Springdale. Still, later that night, Mary Hamley, Hamley's mother, filed a report saying her son was missing. Wow. Before they had issued their ruling Thursday, Mary Hamley spoke of the mischievous, determined son who made her heart sing. "He could fill a room with his laughter," she said, the laughter that was deep in his soul. Wow, that is so sad. Audio and video surveillance from another vehicle shows officers telling Hamley to get down, and eventually he laid on his back around that same time. So they already had the whole situation, under control. Norman appeared from around the driver's side of his car. His shotgun is held high and trained on Hamley. Norman suddenly fires a slug, which bounced off the pavement and struck Hamley in the torso. Norman had been at the scene for less than a minute. As the day progressed, that's when they realized that they had the wrong person and they had this whole bullshit going on. He showed him, very confused while they ordered him to lie on the ground, and he remained standing as if confused. And the officers from Washington County Sheriff's Office and the state trooper deputies thought that he was a Michigan fugitive, Adam Ledford. I do feel like this little article here, though, is worth a read if you pause it right here on the screen. It does show the person who was the head of the state police of Arkansas stepped down exactly a month later after Adam Lee Ledford was shot in the Walmart parking lot. But I find it really odd. All of it is odd. The you don't have to spy on us kind of thing. Is this like appearing on their Arkansas State Police thing? And I'm gonna include a link to this actual, where I found this thing here, um, just so you could take a look at it yourself. Because I mean, I don't know. Even some of the stories that when you scroll down that they're reporting on are really strange to me. So, but I would say that 54 days and $1,000 is probably not fulfillment of the loss of the love of your life, your son, your child. So united we stand, divided we fall, and repeal the qualified immunity doctrine, and peace, love, and tacos. Have a great day.